Yes, good. We're ready now.
Okay, great.
Thank you for waiting.
How about Ed? Can I hear you, Ed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. Ed, thanks for your patience, yeah?
Sure, no problem. Okay, but
Yes, I've got you.
that feedback like we had in the beginning.
Pardon?
We're losing you again.
You're getting feedback, you said?
Right. Now, before, when I was talking to Ella, you did something, Ella, when we were able to fix that?
Yeah. I know. It's the same thing now. You're breaking up a little bit.
Right. Okay, wait, now, okay, I'm good now. Do you hear me now?
Yeah, it's better. And what about you? You here as well?
Yeah, you guys are fine.
Okay,
Nice.
that's good.
Okay, all right, let's get started. All right, so I'll give you the countdown. 3, 2, 1. Then we get a little intro. Remember the 30-second musical intro is silent, so you won't be able to hear it. But if you talk, the audience will hear you.
Just indicate when you start.
I'll just give us a heads up. Also, give us a heads up when you do that. And also, it's the Hampstead cover-up, Ed, because it's not solely, what did you call it, ritual satanic abuse or ritual sexual abuse. That's one angle, that's one aspect of it. Yes?
Explain. We'll explain.
Gotcha.
Better to explain.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna get countdown. 3, 2, 1.
You're breaking up again.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna give you the countdown. 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Then there's a 30-second musical introduction, but you won't be able to hear it. So just sit tight. Okay. Then you'll hear me come back. Welcome. This is the Opera Report. Blah blah blah. And then I'll introduce you guys.
Okay.
At the half hour, there's a 6-minute commercial. Again, I'll let you know when it comes on, but you won't be able to hear the commercial. I'll mute you, okay? But if you guys are talking in the background, they can hear you, okay?
All right.
Okay, great. 3, 2, 1. Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. This show is brought to you by emailrevealer.com. Our newest sponsor, you may recall the YouTube video that came out a few months back about this case in Hampstead, England, about these 2 little kids. They were recalling their abuse at the hands of a satanic cult. And we're describing it as the Hampstead cover-up. So we have with us today the mother, Ella Draper, of these 2 children, and her boyfriend, Abraham Christie, who's also been raising these kids for about the last year or so. So are you guys there?
Yeah, we're here.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, Ed. Thank you for having us on your show.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity, Ed.
Thank you very much. So why don't you guys take a few minutes each, okay, and just describe who you are, like who is Ella Draper? Tell us about yourself, and then we'll get into the specifics of the case.
Okay, well, in fact, I've changed my name back to my maiden name, and I'm Gariva now, Ella Gariva, so in Draper in brackets. And I've been a full-time majority of the last 20 years. I have 3 children, and Alisa and Gabriel are the youngest one. I'm the yoga teacher and also beauty nutritionist.
Yoga teacher, huh?
Yes, yoga teacher and beauty nutritionist.
Okay, yeah, me and my daughter, we did Bikram yoga for about a year and a half. I did it for 90 days straight.
Oh, wonderful. How was it?
I don't do it now. It was a little too much for me, so I stopped doing it. But I definitely want to get back into it. My daughter still does it. She's 15 years old.
Oh, right. This is the one I'm teaching as well.
Well, Bikram.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. Yeah, I loved it. I really did. I got addicted to it, and I did it 90 days straight.
Nice.
In the summer, about 2 years ago. Now, tell us your story. Who's Abraham Christie?
Abraham Christie. Okay. I'm a nutritional researcher. I'm 58 years of age, and I was born and educated in London. I was a rebellious youth and spent a lot of my youth in what they would call correctional facilities, if you will. I'm nonconformist, and I met Ella and the children at a raw food event, and I'd only known the children for 3 or 4 months before they disclosed what had been happening to them at school and in the church. So I don't know. I've only, as I say, I had only recently known the children, but this is over a year and 3 months now, a year and 4 months almost now.
Since since
the children were kidnapped, and and I knew the children 4 or 5 months before that, so it's almost 2 years now. I've known them, so.
So this case came to the public's attention because of a YouTube video, and I believe it was called the Hampstead. So the kids were being interviewed like in a parking lot or out in the street.
It was it was at the airport. It was just
we're back to England
at the entrance to the airport, and I think the video you're talking about was called "Papa Kills Babies."
Right. Okay, that was the first one. Now, what instigated the videotaping day? What made you decide to take a videotape that day?
Okay, I'd spoken to my brother-in-law, who is a special constable. Whilst the children were disclosing, I had spoken to him and to a solicitor for advice. And one of the things he said to me was that he said you'll need some evidence. Have you got any evidence? And the only real evidence we had at the time were the children's testimonies. And I'm not sure if that was what instigated or initiated us filming the children.
Yeah, but we also, when children were disclosing, we made a lot of notes and wrote a lot of things, and as well children drew pictures, for example, of the tattoos of their abusers. And we realized also that during these 3 intense weeks, it was really hard time. It was really hard time for all of us. So we didn't think about filming then, but while we're getting ready, we realized that we better film them, and we were doing it on the way to in the airport, some even on the airplane, and back in England as well.
We were I believe we were challenged with PTSD. I truly believe that we were suffering, all of us, from post-traumatic stress disorder after the initial disclosures. I know that Ella and I were.
And children too, of course.
Yeah, the children, because they'd been experiencing this, from a very young age, they just appeared to be able to deal with it better.
Right. So prior to videotaping that day, how much prior to that did you first start noticing signs of abuse in the children, or did they come to you and start telling you about the abuse?
Well, they told us we will. I guess maybe Abraham will explain it better how it all got discovered. It took about maybe 3 weeks. Happened about 3 weeks beforehand. However, there were many signs even before that. During years before, there were all kind of signs which I was not really equipped to interpret. And then when Abraham became part of our family, he started to with a fresh look and with his experience, he noticed many things right away, and things started to get worse as well. And would you like to say to explain how it all happened?
Well, even before I became part of the family, we'd travelled together to Glastonbury and to other places in the UK, and I wasn't the only one who had noticed the children's aggression towards each other.
Because for me it was normal.
It was normal for you, yeah. Well, for me that degree of aggression was unusual, and There were just too many signs. You know, I noticed them when they were playing on the trampoline. I noticed them touching the family pet dog intimately. I also noticed Gabriel's arrested development. We'd go running in the park, and I noticed his arrested development for his age. Also, Elisa's cold cynicism.
Yeah, this also worried me a lot, or really deeply concerned me, because it was something that was progressing quite rapidly. Her cynicism, and also I've been noticing that Gabriel started to develop like a glaze over his eyes, as if he was switching off the reality. And 2 years before that, I also caught them possibly touching. I haven't seen them touching, but they've been filming each other on my mobile, on the cell phone, on the cell camera. And so that's already alerted me. But then the aggression and quite a distorted and
Ella would also
abusive behavior that was going on for a very long time.
You also spoke to me about bringing them home from school, and that they'd throw tantrums. And
yeah, they would be really stressed after school, to the point that I had to take them somewhere in the nature for them to run around and get their steam out. But every time I was going to pick them up from school, I would have to prepare myself mentally, emotionally, and it would be already stressful for me to go. And they would be fighting really badly between themselves, and abusive towards me.
What were their ages at that time?
They were when this closed. They were Alisa was 9 and Gabriel was 8, right?
When they disclosed, yes.
But we're talking about especially last 2 years before that. So from maybe Gabriel was 6 and Alisa was 7. These symptoms, I would say, became much worse.
But
the thing is, I couldn't work it out, because there was, to my knowledge, there was no other influence of adults, like direct closest influence apart from me. But then when the children disclosed that their father was visiting school every day and subjecting to them to those practices and to those experiences, then things became much more clear what happened then.
There were lots of signs, Ed. There were other children in the school. There was one boy in particular, Spike, whose behaviour was, it was notable. He was always aggressive and always attacking other, and he was regularly causing trouble with other children,
as well as James.
Yes,
other children. You can see there was a group of children. They were all kind of hanging together. The parents were hanging together, and those children were. There was some concern about it, about them, and the girls as well who came to our house, Alisa's friends. Something wasn't right. Something wasn't right. This particular friend of Alisa, called Millie, she was always looks into your eyes, like as if she was pleading or asking for something, and I couldn't understand what was going on. And of course they were keeping quiet, and only later Alisa told me that they both were thinking to tell me. When Millie found out that I wasn't part of this group, part of this cult, they were thinking to tell me, but then they got scared. They were terrorized. They were threatened with death, perhaps also with the death of their loved ones, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of muddying of the waters, if you will, or obfuscation in this case. you see, there was a lot of talk of Satanism and other forms of extreme abuse. But we've learned that a lot of this is really just to cover up the main issue. And one of the things we've learned is that certain ethnic groups, if you will, are more resistant to this type of programming, if you will, this type of cult behaviour, this type of ritual abuse. And Millie, this young girl Millie, she's from a part of the world that is noted for people who are resistant. She's from South America, and it's been noted by other commentators who've been studying these phenomena that certain racial types are more resistant to the conditioning. Yeah.
Just gonna say, now, you guys are saying that, Abe, you sort of started noticing these signs before Ella did?
Well,
No. I was noticing the signs. It just I really couldn't. I didn't interpret them correctly, because to my mind it's like the idea of any kind of abuse was not even entering my mind. I came from Russia and grew up in the environment where pedophilia was at the time virtually non-existent, and even now this kind of abuse is not even common. It's not common subject of conversation as it is in the UK, for example.
Whereas in the UK, paedophilia or buggery is common knowledge. You know, people are aware of the culture of yes.
It's like Jimmy Savile and stuff, you know.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
And then
yeah, okay, all right, that makes sense. Okay.
So for me, I
was just going to remind you, talk more about what you've been noticing and how we actually. You're the one. It was Abraham who discovered what was happening.
Well, I began to suspect, of course.
Okay.
You know, with my years on the planet, as it were, and my experience, and of course, having raised 10 children myself, I began to suspect that something was amiss, but we couldn't really. It was difficult to. How could I? You see, the family home. I was a witness. You know, I'd experienced the family environment, and it didn't correspond. The children's behaviour, it didn't correspond with the family environment that I was experiencing. The only other place that I knew they were going was to school, and of course you automatically you wouldn't expect anything like this to be going on at school. So it was difficult. It was difficult to work out exactly what was going on, Ed. But then the children had a Skype conversation from their father,
Okay.
and I heard his voice. And I immediately sensed something in his voice. I felt a total lack of empathy, something completely false in his voice. And I have spent time in jail with the likes of Dennis Nielsen. If you have a look up, he's a serial killer, Dennis Nielsen, and other sociopaths and psychopaths. But there was something in this character's voice that alerted me, and I immediately went to speak to Ella about it. That was almost like confirmation that something was terribly wrong with regarding the children. And it wasn't, as I say, until we were on holiday in Morocco that I spotted the children touching each other intimately, and I questioned them. I asked them, I know, someone's taught you to do this. Who is it? Who's taught you? And they just opened up. They, as Elisa says, we broke the deal with my dad not to tell anybody. And they told, I feel that their diet, because as I say, I'm a nutritionist, and Kathy O'Brien and Roseanne Barr and others have testified to the fact that hemp, cannabis, deletes and prevents mind control programming. Now,
although it's nothing to do with the smoke.
Absolutely, yeah. No, we are raw foodists, and I introduced the family to the benefits of hemp seed nutrition, and we were giving the children hemp seed milks and hemp seed juices.
Although we were already raw vegans for many years before that, the whole family, children were vegan and vegetarian for their whole life.
And
my daughter is now too.
Pardon?
I said my daughter is now too.
She's vegan, yeah?
Which sort of makes me a vegan.
Okay,
well done.
Brilliant. Okay.
It's a progress.
Okay, yeah. Well, check out raw veganism when you get a chance. So,
not by choice. I'd rather go back to raw hamburger.
Anyway, we were all thriving on this. We were all thriving on this diet. We were in the sunshine, and we were having fun. We were having fun in the sun until I spotted the children, and then they began to disclose, and each day were more revelations. But
the nightmare began, although it was already going since they were little.
I was shocked, but we were shocked, but not surprised, because it began to make sense.
Let's take a couple of steps backwards, because Abe, I can relate to what you're saying. Okay, I've dated a lot of women with kids, and sometimes you get to know the kids, and you start seeing something's wrong, and you can kind of sense it. But what was it about these kids? They knew you for a short time. Why did they confide in you?
Why did they confide in me? They were both, particularly Elisa, highly intuitive, highly sensitive, and highly intelligent. Super intelligent children. They're both blonde-haired, blue-eyed, highly articulate, and they're bilingual. They're bilingual in Russian and English, and they were picking up Spanish and Arabic as well. So they're highly intelligent children. Why did they confide in me? Well, it appears from what they told us that practically everyone in their social circle, everyone they knew except their mother or whom they were meeting, apart from their mother, was involved in this behaviour, in this abuse. Yeah, and so for them to meet,
perhaps they were not very confident to confide in me to me. Knowing that I'm the only adult out there who doesn't do it, so they were probably not brave enough or not confident enough, I would imagine.
And so when they realised that here was another person who wasn't involved in the cult, and someone who didn't fear. I didn't fear this information, and they felt. I believe that they felt safe enough to share the information with me, and they felt that perhaps I could protect them from further abuse.
Okay. Now, you say that the kids reported to you that their father was visiting the school almost every day. Is there any record at the school, any videos, any sign-in sheets, like that? Right.
Okay. Now we'll rewind for you now, Ed. Ed, we have learnt, and it's pretty synchronistic that you've invited us on your show at this juncture, because we've come to the realization, and we've received information that confirms, and it clears up all of the anomalies, and it clears up everything now. It seems that this ritual abuse is merely one aspect of trauma-based mind control. It seems that the British educational system has been taken over. It seems to me that it's part of the whole social engineering. Tavistock is involved. The children visited Tavistock, the Tavistock Institute.
They mention at least another 10 schools in the same borough, Camden, that adhering to these practices.
And we believe that the educational system has been infiltrated. Now they don't how could I say, they don't involve all of the pupils in the school in these programs, in these mind control programs. They choose specific families, possibly members of families who are also already members of the Freemason fraternity. You still with us?
No, I'm with you. But then my question is there any record of the father visiting this?
No,
right.
No, of course, there's no record because it's a cover-up.
And the thing is, there was no investigation carried out at all. There was no CCTV cameras watched. There was literally no investigation at all. Two policemen visited the church after tipping the school already. After 4 days, when we reported this to the police, they had a meeting. There was a strategy meeting between social workers, policemen, and a representative from the school, headmistress from the school was invited,
whom the children had named as one of the ringleaders of the abuse,
one of the main abusers.
The children also described that this particular person, the head teacher, her name is Kate Forsdyke. They described her as having a large, a port wine stain, covering her pudenda, covering her thighs and her pudenda. They also describe tattoos. The children describe them as devil tattoos. We believe that these tattoos are tattoos of Baphomet, a goat-headed devil. And the children describe the teachers as having tattoos and pierce rings.
And other distinguishing marks, as moles, as birthmarks. However, none of those people have been interviewed, arrested.
There was no mention.
No mobile phones, no computers were seized.
There was no mention of the tattoos in the Chris report. The evidence, the recorded video evidence of the children's testimony regarding the tattoos was seized from my brother-in-law, the policeman Jean Clement, was seized from him by a D.C. Rogers, a Detective Constable Rogers, and stored an hour away from Barnet Police Station, an hour's drive away in Chingford, in a Chingford property storeroom. And none of the investigative officers were able to view this evidence.
The videos you talked about, those videos were hidden away on the first day of the investigation. So there was no investigation as such. And but then this more serious evidence, the birthmarks and tattoos, it'd been mentioned by the children during the home videos, then to Abraham's brother-in-law, police sergeant, who took extensive, who made extensive audio recording, and this recording was also put away in this storage. Then the same story been repeated to the policemen in the official interviews and to the doctors as well as their foster carer. So, but then this particular evidence has never been mentioned in the Chris report. That the report of the investigation. It was never mentioned in the family proceedings. And what they've done, they quickly closed the case. They bullied children into the retraction, and we believe they drugged them as well. And quickly transferred it to the family court, to the secret family court, where no press, no public is allowed, and they were attempting to cover it up there.
Okay, well, 1 second, because we have a whole another hour and a half. I want to get into all the family court stuff as we move on.
All right.
Well, my question now is about the port wine stains and the tattoos. Now, if these people are being accused of having these identifiable marks on their naked portion of their body, have they ever come forward and said, okay, listen, someone examined me, an impartial person examined me, or his photographs of myself?
Not one of them. Not one of them.
Not one of them, no.
Now, what about you said that you caught the children taking videotapes of each other using your phone. Do you still have those videos?
Yeah, it's been about well, it took happened long time ago, like what 4 years back from now. But the time of children disclosing, maybe 2 years to over 2 years, and it was only short, like 50 seconds video, which is nothing been going on. It's just Alisa took her panties off and Gabriel was filming her. So I thought. I've explained it to myself as a perhaps part of them being curious about sexuality, and I explained to my best that it was inappropriate to do that, and my mom as well witnessed that. But I changed the phone since that. I didn't really give any importance to this incident or to evidence, of course, back then, because just so many things been going on, and it was the whole, well, especially last couple of years was really, really stressful for me. And because, as I said, the children's behavior was deteriorating quite dramatically, and I just couldn't keep up. I guess if it was one child, probably it would be a bit easier, but with two of them growing and becoming bigger, and but there was not only one incident.
What happened, Ed, is that their biological father, Ricky Dearman, he relinquished all contact with the children at a High Court hearing in November 2011.
How old were the kids at that time?
2011? Well, 3 years before that, so Alisa was 6.
5 and 6. They were 5 and 6 years of age.
Yeah.
Because he relinquished all contact with them.
Officially in the courtroom.
At a High Court hearing.
So there is evidence of that, even recorded by the judge who...
Because he had a pre-planned trip to LA in November 2011. And this is where we believe he genned up on these mind control techniques. And then after his spell in LA, he visited India.
Perhaps we suspect Goa,
and
where
then,
a lot of abuse going on as well.
Yes, and where his sister is married to an Indian character out there who runs a hotel out there.
And the thing is, children allege that all of his family, all Dearman's family, is involved in this abuse as well.
Generational, and the grandmother, the mother,
it's been generational abuse too.
Let me ask you a question. What is the reason he gave for his trip to LA and this trip to Indonesia?
He doesn't.
Well, he didn't give any reason in the courtrum. He simply said that.
He didn't say. He didn't tell that he was going. He didn't tell.
No. He never said. He never said he was going. But we know that he's gone. He's gone straight shortly after that. But the thing is, before he was fighting hard for the contacts with the children, and I was fighting hard not to give him children. And the more I realized that his influence is detrimental on children, the more I was cutting the contacts between him and the children. The legal proceedings were going on and off for about 4 years, and that even. You see that it's quite a sort of, there is quite a background to the story. You know, there is domestic violence, there is this and that, and assault on my life. So,
let's take a commercial break now, and we'll come back. We'll get into the reasons for the breakup, the reasons for the divorce, and any kind of litigation and stuff like that. But one question I want to ask right before we go is, what does the father do for a living now? What is his occupation?
Well, he doesn't have occupation.
Officially, he has no occupation.
As far as we know, that he's engaging in child pornography, snuff movies,
money laundering,
maybe organ trafficking, child trafficking.
Yeah.
What does he on his tax returns? Do we know that?
Well, now been investigated it, and I know that he's been claiming the state money, living on benefits for a very long time, at least maybe for 10 years or so.
Benefits for what reason?
Benefit, well, being jobless, or claiming that he's has some disability, which I know is fake. He's claiming that he's got some back pain or something like that.
All right, so we'll get right back to this. We'll come back. We'll pick up with all the breakup, the divorce, and all that kind of stuff. We're here with Abraham Christie and Ella
Gariva, yes.
You sprung that one on me. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We'll be right back with more of this case here about this Hampstead cover-up with these two children alleging this abuse, and it's been a disastrous situation. There's no matter how you look at this, these children are being given a square deal in all this. So we'll get right back to this after these messages. Okay, welcome back to court. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed. We're doing a case about the Hampstead cover-up, the two children in that video that was so famous. We're here today with the mother, Ella Draper, and her boyfriend, who was also helping to raise the kid for the past year, Abraham Christie. Are you guys there?
Yes.
Okay, so now when we left off, I was going to ask you, let's start off on a new... First of all, before we get to that, you mentioned that the kids were taken to the Tavistock Institute. Now, how do you know that?
Well, it was this following this incident where Damon attempted to kill me. My eldest son, James, it affected him a lot, and his father suggested to take him to the Tavistock Institute, which is, as we know, is a charitable organization, and with some children psychologists working for them. This is kind of their front. This is what they're saying they're doing, and so I started to take James for his sessions, and it was in different combinations. And then children were also affected because they viewed this incident, and Alisa's got hurt as well during this. So the psychologist suggested to take them also for the sessions, and I was looking for the solutions as well, and even before children started to disclose this hard 2 years, I was educating myself in child psychology. I was attending all kind of courses, and child psychologists privately. So I knew I had a problem, and I was attempting to resolve it as much as I could.
The dichotomy, the quandary is this, Ed.
Of course, I never known about Tavistock back then.
Yeah, the Tavistock Institute has set themselves up as the authority on ritual abuse and multi-personality disorder and dissociative identity disorder. And so, in other words, the primary programming site for these trauma-based mind controls, they are pretending to be the leading institution, attempting to solve the problem. If you get my drift.
I do. And unless you're familiar with all the allegations and rumors about Tavistock, no one would think, that there would be any reason to be afraid of them. Now, what was the core... When you were married to your husband?
No, we were never married, and I knew Damon for a very short time, until the relationship broke up, and Gabriel wasn't even 1 year old when I told Damon that the relationship was not working. However,
well, let me ask you this: during the period of time you were dating and you were getting along and everything was happy, was there any indications that he was involved in any kind of activities or parties or bizarre sex?
No, not at all. He appeared to be caring. He's got along with my eldest son. Nothing at all. It just after when the children were born, then I started to notice some. Well, some inclinations towards abnormal sexual activity, and some comments he was making were a bit weird for me to hear, and he was forcing me, emotionally forcing me to watch pornography with him, things like that. So progressively, many things were really concerning to me, and I realized that this guy, is something wrong with him, and also his interaction with the children was some aspects of his interactions with the children were quite worrying, I would say. Like, for example, he would come to see children in the evening just before they were going to bed, and would start to play the stickle game with them, which I was never happy about, because then children already kind of were calm, ready to go to bed, and then he would start this strong activity going on, and he would tickle them and tickle until you can see they're not comfortable. He's taking them over the edge, and he was still pushing them, and and unless I wanted to interfere, and this would always end up in arguments. And there are many other things as well. The psychological manipulation and intimidation. Like he would be breaking up in my house through the garden late at night, and break into my house, yes, and sending me messages and emails of inappropriate content, sexual contact, and I reported him. There were like 5 police calls because of the domestic violence and other reports of sexual harassment. But this is already after we were not seeing each other. And then there was then it was violence against my son, against my mother. So until I asked court for the protection, and the court issued the injunction order against him, which was in place for almost for over half a year. And then
parenting experience with other children besides the 2 you have together?
Sorry?
Did he have kids of his own outside of the kids?
No.
So he had no other parenting experience?
No, these are the only children. Now,
you mentioned you have an older son. How old is he?
Well, he's big boy now. He's 18. But at the time of these events, he was 9, 10.
Okay. Now, your older son now, where does he stand in all this? Is he seen any signs of abuse with the 2 children in question?
Well, he's now in the university, and of course, this information was a shock to him, as to all my family. But I don't think. Well, the thing is, he started to live with his dad maybe 5 years prior to August 2014. So he wasn't really spending that much time around the children, although he's very close to both of his brother and sister.
Gotcha. Okay, so now.
He noticed. Yeah, because he said to me. James, Ella's oldest son, had noticed the children's unruly behaviour, if you will, or dysfunctional behaviour, when he would visit at the weekend, so he was aware.
Now, you described earlier that when you would go running in the park with the oldest boy, the oldest boy out of the 2.
No, he's the youngest. No, he's only 8. Gabriel was only 8. He was the youngest. Elisa was 9 and Gabriel was 8 at the time.
But you described when you were running in the park with Gabriel, that you exhibit age-inappropriate behavior. Is that what you meant?
Not age-inappropriate. Arrested development. He wasn't moving fluidly, physically. He wasn't moving. How can I say, as freely as he should have been for someone of his age.
Not very good coordination.
Yes.
But also there was arrested mental development
Yes.
as well.
There were a number of factors, as Ella just mentioned.
Psychological, emotional.
Yeah.
When you were taking the children to the Tavistock Institute, were any of those reports or any of the doctors or any of the therapists from the Tavistock Institute, were they ever brought into any of the legal proceedings that are currently going on?
There was attempt where Diamond was invited to one of those sessions or have a conversation with the practitioner, but he created quite a scene there and he left without banging the door, and he left. But the thing is, the very first time I went there, because of I took children because of James, of the eldest son. But then the couple of years before August 2014, there were, as I said, sort of things progressively were getting worse, and the school then was pointing to Tavistock.
Now, okay, so
Because the thing is, Tavistock is actually is literally like maybe a mile away from the school. You see, it's in the same area.
Amazing. Okay, so now you guys, you make this video in the airport parking lot, and now everything breaks loose, right now.
No, not at all, not at all.
Explain, that was just one of a number of it.
Sorry?
Ed, that video that went as you may say viral on the internet. That video was one of a number of videos, of very short videos video clips that we made.
About 17 of them.
Yes, 2 or 3 minute video clips that we made of the children disclosing, because they'd given us so much information, and we had so much information on paper, that the next logical step was to make take some video footage of them.
So went to your brother-in-law, who was a cop.
That's correct. Yes, a special constable in London. Yeah.
So then what happens next? Now, was a police investigation started?
Yes, the police investigation started the very next day.
However, we were doubtful of the police. We had some reticence, regarding the police, because the children had testified that members of the Metropolitan Police were involved in the abuse and were aware of what was going on. You see, the children have named teachers, police officers, social workers, members of CAFCAS, the Child and Family
CAFCAS is like a
social advisory,
like social services within the court.
So
right.
Yeah.
Now, question first. No. How would the kids know about CAFCAS? How would they know that phrase? Had they any exposure to that before?
Well, because during this family proceedings, CAFCAS gets involved. Whenever children are involved in any legal proceedings, CAFCAS is automatically involved. So children were well aware what it was, and in fact, you see, Damon started he made an application for his visiting rights again in 2013. Prior to that, there was an anonymous call made to RCPCC. It's like a child protection agency, which with a false allegation that I've been abusive to the children, I didn't feed them, and all kind of really like false accusation, saying that the children are so hungry that they're going through the rubbish bins. And the thing is, the school also kind of like took this information. How to say? They also stated
they were perpetuating the myth.
Yeah. They were, and so
you see, he was attempting to. He wanted custody of the children in order to have sole control. This is what appears to have been going on, but in the interim period, he was quite happy for Ella to care for the children, and for him to have free and easy access to them. But as Ella became aware of the fact that his association with the children was detrimental to the children, and began to curtail his contacts with them, So he it seems embarked upon a campaign to
discredit me and to get the custody of the children. When I had the legally I had the custody of the children already. So whenever when they came with the official story saying that we coached the children to say all this story, and solely for the purpose of getting the custody, that was already a lie. That judiciary as well as mass media were advertising.
I think it helps to understand. I think it helps you will help your audience, Ed, to if they realize that it appears that this is state sponsored. These are state sponsored programs, and that we've stumbled across a state sponsored trauma-based mind control program, and that the ritual abuse is an integral part of it, and that they close ranks, and that they're covering this up for all their worth. They're covering this up for all their worth, because this is the soft underbelly of their culture. This is the Tavistock social engineering at its ultimate, to create an army of mind-controlled slaves to do their bidding in their new world order.
At the time when the school was saying, well, the kids aren't eating, over there in England, do you have the option to move your kids to a different school?
Yes, I was. We were going to move children to different school, and that's when the school started to become nervous and hostile, as well as Dearman. He started to really push for the contacts, and actually the contact started to happen. The court ordered the contact just before we went away to Morocco. He had 3 contacts with the children, official, where before he had none. But we know, of course, he was coming to the school. So anyway, this whole year, there were legal proceedings going on, where he was he applied for the residence, well, for the custody and for the contacts, as well as claiming that I'm trying to take children out of England permanently. So that was going on, and
what's the question?
What? Yeah, but where we're going
is that if you were raising the kids uneventfully for 8 years, 9 years, and he only had marginal visits, and now he goes to court and he wants to get custody as a male parent, he's single, right? Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And has no experience raising these kids by himself, and his only allegation that I've heard so far is that the kids were not being properly fed. That was his only allegation against you.
No. This incident. It was an anonymous call. Someone made an anonymous call to RCPCC, the Child Protection Agency.
RSPCA.
RSPCA. NSPCC, sorry, NSPCC is another one organization I'm mixing up with. It's a dogs protection, sorry. That's right. Yeah, anyway, someone made this anonymous call, and then automatically the social services got involved. And they started to their investigation. They came to my house, and then the thing is, the children later on in August told us that these social workers who were involved in this sort of investigation were abusers, as well as Kafka's workers, because I had to take children, because of the court proceedings, I had to take them to the Kafkas for an interview. And what happened, they left me in part of the building, locked me there in this part of the building, and took children away, and children saying that they were sadistically abused by about 10-12 people doing so-called interview by the Kafka's workers. And this is they know very well what Kafkas is, and they explained where it took, how, described all the details.
But that day when this happened, you were locked up and they locked you in a room and they took the kids away and the kids came back, did you notice any signs that day that the kids had been abused, or physical signs or blood or any kind of
No, there was no. Yeah, I mean, people do ask this question. There was never blood on their pants. Gabriel was making his pants dirty because I thought he wasn't wiping his bottom well, but now we know that it was that the muscle the anal, what is called anal dilation, where the bottom, loses the anus, loses the muscles losing its strength, the flexibility, becoming loose, and this was causing for him to swallow his pants, and yeah.
Okay, now let's take another commercial break, and then when we get back, we'll get into the whole stuff about these legal proceedings, because right now you've lost custody of these kids, right?
That's right. Yes.
And okay, so we'll get into that whole phase of the thing, and we'll be right back after we're here with Ella Gariva and Chris. This is the case of these two little kids in Hampstead, England, who have been the subject of a horrible childhood. We'll be right back to messages with more of the Hampstead cover-up. Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm the host, President Ed Opperman. We're here with Abraham Christie and Ella Draper, and we're discussing the case of the Hampstead cover-up. The reason why I brought up the father of the children trying to get custody is because the allegation is that you two made up and coerced the children in order to prevent him from getting visitation and custody.
Yes,
but my question, were you worried about him getting custody? If he's a single man who never... The court presumes that the parent who raised the child from birth and mostly raised the child is the parent that's going to continue raising the child unless there's extreme circumstances, a change of circumstances that would cause another parent to be able to come in and custody order. Were you concerned at all that he was going to be able to get a change of custody order?
No, not at all, because he hardly participated in children upbringing and in their education. He never participated financially. He never supported children, so it wasn't concerning me at all. But then he started to adhere to all kind of actions, like this anonymous call. So the social services got involved and started to investigate, and other things. Then the school also mentioned something to the social services that children are underfed, which is of course not true. So but the attitude of the court was all along very suspicious, even before that, before these events, during these 4 years of on and off legal proceedings as well, where court was very well aware of his violent nature and his behavior around the children, and nevertheless gave him contacts, allowed him contacts every week on Saturdays or for whole day. And it's only after he retained the children at the unknown address for 3 days, I stopped the contacts. It gave me the opportunity to stop the contacts, and then again, but then during this last year before the events, also court didn't take any view of the previous history, the previous background.
Okay, so, but now.
So they were inclining. They were this. You see, because the social services got involved, they started to have a voice in these proceedings, For example, this specific social worker called Richard Dempsey and Dempsey, and the children are alleging against him as well, so he started, and looks like him and Diamond know each other quite well, and he's the one who tipped Diamond off about the report, the involvement of the policeman. And Gabriel, there is a document which social services overlooked, and it became part of this recent proceedings, where Gabriel reported to the social worker that the father was hitting them. And that was never made. This fact was never been made available at the court. You see, they had to disclose this kind of information. They didn't, and this particular social worker was advising court on the progress of the increased context between him and the children. There was kind of like a scheme constructed where first he would see children every 2 weeks, then more often and more often, and eventually he's gonna start to take them overnight. So looks like the court was implicit in this for quite a long time, and we know that the Masons are involved, and majority of the High Court judges are all Masons, as we know, as well as advocates, as barristers.
And many police, social workers, and psychologists are trained at the Tavistock Institute as well.
Who also participated in this proceedings. And were basically rubbished the children's testimonies, like Claire Sturge, for example. She's a Tavistock psychologist, and she's been used by the family court very often in other cases where children were taken
removed
from the country, from the family. Like, for example, there was quite a horrific case just a couple of years before ours with the Musa's family, where 7 children been taken from quite decent, intelligent parents. Christian family. Where the mother, she's actually an archbishop in Nigeria. They were visiting London, and all 7 children were taken in one day, and both parents been given 7 years each of imprisonment on the false allegations. So they have their method, they have their template according to which they operate. They have their group of so-called professionals, like psychologists, like psychiatrists. There are certain judges are consistently being involved in these cases. The policemen, the same policemen, being consistently involved in this kind of cases. The same tricks. For example, Steve Martin, who you see on the videos, on the police interviews of the children. He's the one who is interviewing children. He's been involved in other cases, and he came up with this information that the children got the details of their disclosures from the film called Mask of Zorro, which is a PG film and just adventurous film, and he's the one who brought it up the same thing in the other case.
He's used the Mask of Zorro previously as an excuse in other child abuse cases.
The question I'm trying to ask is that the allegation is that you guys made up these allegations in order to win this custody case. But ultimately, when I read the ruling by this Justice Palfrey, it appears that the only thing they have against you are these allegations. And also
made up allegations, made up by the court, made up by the social services, because children never once mentioned about any coaching, any abuse on our behalf,
except in the retraction. The retraction.
Exactly.
In the forced retraction.
And I just sorry
interview.
before Abraham would say what he wants to say. I just wanted to mention something which is important. I already had the custody over the children. I didn't have to fight for the custody. I didn't have to make any stories, not just against them, but against the whole school, the entire staff of the school, against policemen, against social services,
parents.
Against Kafkas, against the lawyers who has been involved, and other parents. I mean, not just that, call children on about the tattoos.
Why create such a convoluted story?
And make false allegations
and why
to the police?
And why create a story alleging that the perpetrators have these intimate distinguishing marks that can easily be proven or disproven?
Tattoos, piercing, and the children have piercing and tattoos.
That's another factor.
No other children been interviewed.
Some of the children, Elise and Gabriel.
All the children have tattoos and piercing.
Elise and Gabriel have testified, as Ella just said, that all of the other, there are a group of 20 or so special families. That are involved in this ritual abuse, specifically in this mind control programming. Not the whole school.
A lot of them foster families as well.
Not the whole school, and the children. And Elisa and Gabriel told us that all of the children, all of the special children, they all have tattoos. They are all tattooed. And when we asked Elisa and Gabriel, well, if you're in the group, why aren't you tattooed? And they said the reason we haven't got a tattoo is because Mama, Ella, is not involved. She's not in the cult. See, the children didn't realize that they were part of a trauma-based mind control program. They could only tell us what they were experiencing, that they were being abused,
sadistically raped, sadistically.
And that they were being forced to abuse other children. That they had their own plastic dildos, and that they were forced to abuse other children, and that they were forced to kill.
And they were desensitized
to killing. They both admit to having taken part in the killing of 70 infants each. And
you mentioned about the stuff about the plastic dildos.
Yeah.
And now, in this judge's order, there was a medical examiner who examined his children.
Dr. Hodes. A consultant pediatrician, Dr. Hodes, with over 30 years experience, yes.
Okay, now how did that doctor get involved in this case? Did you go out and find that doctor, or did the court find that doctor?
No, what happened, you see, they did take some actions, the police. For example, they took children on the drive around to identify the properties where the abuse was taking place. And then they arranged for children to be examined on 2 occasions by the group of the doctors who are specializing in the child abuse specifically, and who confirmed categorically that the abuse, the findings were confirming the children allegations. They had scarring in the anal area, and this reflex dilation as well, and anal reflex also is an indicator of the abuse, and that they were abused with the blunt penetrative instruments.
But now, was a court-appointed doctor?
Well, they ignored. She ignored it.
Was she a court-appointed doctor?
No. It was a police-appointed doctor.
Right. So this wasn't your doctor that you brought in?
No. It was by the police, arranged by the police, in a university college hospital.
But this judge makes a comment at the end where she uses the word "used." She was being used by the finding of this doctor, or her own appointed doctor.
well,
Yeah,
not
the judge is
specifically,
involved in the
yeah, exactly, not specifically by her, but the police. And the thing is, she also rephrased the formulation of Dr. Holtz. In fact, it was you see what happened. The arrest criteria of Damon was fulfilled twice. First, when the children made allegations, that was the first occasion, and the second when on the 15th of September, Damon was already in the police station interviewed. At the same time, while he was there, police received the report of Dr. Holtz confirming the abuse, what children were alleging, and so that was second time where the arrest criteria had been satisfied, and so they never arrested him. And the entry in the police report from the confirmed abuse, the confirmed abuse became a possible variant, and then Puffley, she went further and said it was normal variant, that the children had fissures. Any, what is it? Scars, yes, saying it was normal thing. And also that was this, as I said, this Dr. Sturge was involved, who assessed children psychologically, and so Puffley mainly relied on the Sturge's assessment rather than and rubbishing Holt's findings, Dr. Holt's findings, yeah.
Judge also too, she cites that you were uncooperative and you didn't appear at the hearing. Now, what was behind that?
Well, what happened? You see,
You're gonna have to tell them about
right. Well, during the first 3 months of engaging in the proceedings, I already realized that the lawyers are involved are all involved in this conspiracy of taking the children in the secret family court, and so I got rid of two pairs of two companies, of two law firms, who was obviously not acting in my interests. And so then I found out about the so-called professional activists, lay legal advisors, Mackenzie Association, Mackenzie Friends, who became my you see, if you representing yourself by law, you can take some friend or relative or some other or just person who's going to help you to take notes in the court, and it's called Mackenzie Friend. So then there is this association of Mackenzie Friends, who are also activists and who are protecting children against the abuse, allegedly. So they got involved, and they had access to all the court material. So then we later on we found out that they were the first front of the protection for this what we know now is a government-sponsored mind control programming which going on in the English schools. And they are the one who published the children's videos and all other documents from the court material online without my consent. In fact, when in January, on the 26th of January, it was the last hearing which I participated. I participated in all the hearings, and I realized that the judge is obviously taking children from me and giving father more and more contacts. We're cutting my contacts off. So it was obvious what she was doing. And at that time, me and Abraham decided that we're going to start the campaign, the internet campaign, but not in the format which it happened. We were, of course, was going to blur children faces, so on, and then when Mackenzie friends heard about it, they immediately publish everything online, and we only found out about this a week later. So what happened? There was a specific file with all the names of the people who was involved in this in this abuse, in this programming. Who were sadistically raping the children, who were forcing them to participate in child sacrifices and torturing of other children. Cannibalism as well, and drinking blood, eating flesh of those infants. And so this is how this material got online. So what happened? This file with all the names, all the telephone numbers, whatever I had access to, I compiled this whole list of people who were involved, and some of those people complained to the police. And so I was summoned to the court on the 10th of February and been requested to remove and been accused of putting this information online, although the court and the London Borough of Barnet, they're the one who holding children right now incommunicado with anyone, and they were very well aware that it was one of the so-called Mackenzie friends, Sabine McNeil, who then made a lot of interviews straight after and tried to make herself look like she was the one who was whistleblower, and but nevertheless denying that she published the material. Although we have emails to me and emails to MP. Looks like her handler, admitting that she was the one who inadvertently blind copied a blogger or the maybe group of bloggers. However, we know that this information already gone online, and many bloggers, some people were already aware of those videos back in December. This is the first time when Sabine McNeil got first access to those material. So what happened? They did it on purpose to frame me up for the arrest and imprisonment, for the harassment.
It's their MO. It's their MO, Ed. Yeah, it's how they deal. It's how they deal with what they call difficult mothers who won't just go away and do as they're told.
Yeah, keep their mouths shut.
That's right. They frame them and they lock them up. That's generally what happens. But go on.
Let me just keep my head straight. Okay, you lost confidence. You had two law firms.
Yeah.
But you lost confidence in them.
That's right.
And so then you started to use these paralegals. Over here in the United States, we would call them paralegals. Not attorneys, they're lay people who know the law. They help prepare documents for you. This Mackenzie friends.
That's correct. But yes.
Who are Ed? Who are like what you could call a first line of defense, who catch mothers or parents, who haven't been caught up in the orthodox sort of like mechanism, as it were.
No, that's what I was going to say. They were sort of like gatekeepers.
Yes,
that's correct.
Exactly,
that's right.
That great term, yeah.
And they've been going on for years before that. They've been involved in many cases before, and a lot of those mothers ended up in prison.
And this is not the first time that they've released or sold case documents. They sell case documents
while also making money on the charities because of the involved in these child abuse cases. They immediately put their donate buttons on their blogs,
and they're both aspiring MPs. One's an aspiring MP and the other one's an aspiring
Belinda Mackenzie.
Yeah, Belinda Mackenzie, an aspiring MP, and the other one is an aspiring MP. They will direct you to the elections, as if elections ever changed anything,
or any national campaigns.
And they hope in these positions to assist their cult in they're promoting at the present the rights of a child, the rights of children. Yeah.
The same when we're talking about this
Counterintelligence, COINTELPRO.
there are a few other characters been involved, specifically Brian Garish and Bill Maloney, and this is similar to probably who you've got, Alex Jones, yeah, similar to this character.
So you got Alex Jones. Who else you got? Who are your COINTELPRO over there?
I'm not going to start naming names.
Right. Well, we know that, for example, that Brian Garish, who someone introduced to us even before the children were taken, and I sent him this email, this file of all the members of this cult. And
the
tattoos information. So who's then sent it via Bill Maloney, who is another so-called activists, and they're organizing the mass protests and documentary and
this is your COINTELPRO. This is your COINTELPRO to ensure that the trauma-based mind control information never gets out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we get too far ahead, the thing is, you're saying that you gave up on these hearings because now they were going to discuss it. Now they were going to charge you with harassment. But now, Ethan, let me ask you a question now. Did you have any criminal legal defenses? You're a savvy guy. You said you had a lot of criminal experience. Did you guys have a criminal attorney advising you about what the charge is and jail would be on a harassment charge? Because here would be nothing. You'd get a probation.
There is no charges. They don't want this case to get into the criminal court. They were avoiding it this at any cost.
They've never interviewed me. Sorry, Anna. They've never once interviewed me. Okay? They never wanted, as Ella just said, they never wanted this case to go to criminal court. Their intent was to keep it in a family court.
However, they were using their little MOs, their established patterns of dealing with this.
Of harassment and intimidation of the mothers.
Okay, wait. Let me see if I have this straight. The reason why you gave up on continuing with the family court proceedings is because you were under threat of arrest for harassment.
That's correct. Well,
Nine police officers, including 2 medical staff, turned up at Ella's home address
the very next day after this injunction order had been placed against me.
And they turned up with medical staff, ostensibly they said to speak to Ella. Now we have a recording of this incident, and it's on the internet. It's available on the internet. People can watch it, and there's one actually with some video footage as well. So all that's been going on, a lot of what's gone on is documented, you see. And the reason why the case is spreading, why the story is spreading, is because the cover-up has been exposed. They've been exposed on the internet with their behaviour, and they're having difficulty. They're having difficulty covering up this story now.
So these 9 policemen who came to my house, they came without the arrest warrant, and luckily we had a barrister at my house then who kind of who was taking instructions and who held them back while we escaped via the back of the roofs of the back of our house. And next day,
because by then it was obvious to us that they were coming to take Ella away.
But my question is, even if they did take you away, what are the maximum charges you could be facing for these?
It wasn't a question of charges, Ed. They regularly incarcerate. They also
they fabricate allegations, but this particular harassment charge is quite serious. I think it's up to what?
It depends. It depends on which section.
But anyhow,
they were already questioning. They were already questioning your mental health.
Yeah, they were already questioning my health from almost day one.
Okay, and I understand that, but correct me if I'm wrong. The maximum time you could be facing is like 5 years.
Yeah, but
5 or 6 years, something like that.
we don't.
But it's not the point. That will be the end anyway. You know, I wouldn't be participating in court proceedings, and the thing is, so when I left soon after this incident.
You left the jurisdiction. You
I left
country.
the jurisdiction. That's right, and then. However, the so-called fact-finding went ahead soon after, and I think that was their intention for me not to participate in this fact-finding, because the questions I would ask would reveal what's going on. There is
So Ella was hounded out of the country. You see,
if not arrested, but then hounded. So.
In order to prevent her from attending the fact-finding hearing.
Okay, where are you guys now?
We're at an undisclosed location.
Okay, so you're okay. So you left. Okay, and you're no longer in the country.
No,
That's right.
Okay.
we haven't been in the country since when was it?
Since February.
February 2014.
So now
Because
the chil-
2014, 2015.
2015, because then it was another incident after I left. It was another 10 policemen then attended Abraham's house, and this time they were much more prepared.
I was in the UK, and 10 policemen came to my house. They surrounded the house, and they were intent. They were determined to take Ella with them, and they were adamant that Ella was at the location. And I told them that she wasn't. In fact, I was on the phone. I was speaking to Ella on the phone at the time, and I allowed them to speak to Ella on the phone.
Okay. Okay. Where are the children now?
Oh,
Well, the children are still within the family, within the foster family. Placement. They were the third time they were moved to a different family, and nobody knows where they are. They keep them incommunicado. They prevented any contacts between the children and the grandparents and the other members of my family. However, we know that Diamond already, even before the proceedings finalized on the 12th of August, he was already given unsupervised contacts with the children.
Okay. Now that's
And
my question. So
and-
the kids today are in foster care.
That's right.
They've never given the children to their biological father. Well, what is the reason for that?
No, they are gonna give. They're planning to give. Well, they're planning to give the children to the
That's
father
their
within
intention. But because of the spread of the story, they're finding it increasingly difficult.
Okay, but there has to be a reason. When the father goes to court and says, "Why can I not have custody of my children right now?" What reason are they giving them? Because otherwise, it would be a slam dunk. He would walk out of the courtroom that same day with the kids in his possession. But the kids are kept under state care.
Well, number one, he's had a psychological assessment, the results of which have never been made public. They've perverted the course of justice on numerous occasions, and we have evidence to show this. They've publicly perverted the course of justice. The judge, Palfley, she has made a fraudulent judgment. There are so many.
But she gives a reason why the father does not have custody, correct?
She gives the reason what?
The father did not walk out of court that day with the children, which would be normal.
Yeah, because of the campaign
Because everybody knows what's
Too
happened.
many people now know what's going on, and too many people are watching their actions. Too many
One
people.
second.
Yeah.
So the judge said in her ruling that the reason I'm not giving these children to their fathers because there's campaign.
No.
No.
What happened? She actually didn't want to take the responsibility of the decision. She left the decision to the social services, and we know that the care plan provided by the social services was to eventually give children to the father within the next 6 to 12 months from the 12th of August. So she never really took the responsibility, and that's
And now
where,
that the story has crossed the Atlantic, and due to some American Christians, it's becoming increasingly difficult. And as we've been doing our own research, because we were as confused as everybody else with all of the muddying of the waters and the obfuscation and the satanic ritual abuse aspect of the case, and we were unaware that it was state-sponsored, trauma-based mind control program that we were dealing with. Now, with this information at our disposal, it's easy to see what we're dealing with now, and it clears up a lot of the, as I say, a lot of the anomalies, like a high court judge, perjuring herself and perverting the course of justice.
Not only one, like three highest court judges.
And policemen perverting the course of justice so blatantly and so publicly. We were wondering, why would they go to such lengths, to cover up a sort of, a paedophile or a satanic ritual abuse case. It seemed to be a bit, they were going overboard.
Disproportionate.
Yeah, it was totally disproportionate. And now with this knowledge that it's it's a state-sponsored operation, everything makes sense now.
Everything falls into places.
Yeah. We were wondering how could a minor, a minor's son from Rotherham, how could he command such a 25-minute stint on BBC primetime television to plead his case. Although it backfired upon him, spectacularly, but the fact that he could acquire, 25 minutes on BBC,
and all the newspapers got involved, and
the mainstream media. Yeah, it was just way overboard. It was way,
they overdone it. Well, let's say.
Yeah, they overplayed their hand, and we just couldn't work out why, and it just didn't make sense. And that in itself was attracting a lot of attention from the wider public. And once we realised that what we were dealing with, everything, as we've said on numerous occasions, everything makes sense now.
And now other cases which are happening now, it's been happening recently. It all makes sense what is going on and why this case has been covered. Like, for example, this recently there was a case in France, south of France, in the wealthy area, where 3 children made allegations of the similar nature against their father, and who was also whitewashed, and mother and the grandfather, who children confided to, were given 3 years of each in prison.
Have been sentenced to prison. And then you have another case in the Jakarta.
We don't need to know about every other case in the world, okay?
No, these are cases we're mentioning cases that actually correspond with ours. For example,
very similar, and they've been covered as well.
For example, this case in Jakarta, you've got the Jakarta International School. Just a moment, Ed. You have the.
Wait, because we can do another hour. But right now, the audience is interested in your case, and that's why I have you on the show.
Right. Well, this case corresponds with our one.
No. The reason you see.
We can do another hour, okay? But please, guys, you got to listen to my questions. Without going on to all this other stuff.
All right, Ed. Okay, Ed.
It's really, I understand.
No, but
and I'm trying to help.
Yeah, of course. No, you're doing a great job. But because we're so familiar with the case now, we know the things that sort of like will explain and clarify the situation to your listening audience. You see.
It's on the audience, okay? And if I'm not understanding what's going on, the audience doesn't understand what's going on either.
Okay.
So I want to hear from Ella and Abraham what's going on in this case.
Okay, well, in this case...
No, wait, please, let me ask a question. Because let's go back to a couple of things.
All right, then.
Now, when they had the father, and they were questioning him, and then they had medical documentation that the kids were molested, because they had a doctor's report.
Yeah.
And they had the allegation that he was the one doing the molestation. Did they ever seize his computers and his cell phone and that kind of stuff?
No,
never.
None of this happened. He wasn't arrested. The mobile phones, computers was never seized. The CCTV cameras were never investigated. The forensics never went and investigate the school, the church, the houses of the parents, where those so-called fun sex parties were going on, where in fact they were raping children there. And
so
none of this taking place.
Yeah, and this explains...
None of the children being interviewed.
This explains the state backed cover-up of the situation because it's a state-sponsored operation. This is why...
That's not true. Okay. Now let me ask you a question. Right now, do you have anyone representing your parental interest there in the UK in Hampstead?
Well, I have a lawyer, I have a law firm who is acting for me. However, no. My parents were how to say were going to become what is it called? The guardians. We applied for guardianship, but then they were dismissed because they actually did not want to agree with the Puffley's judgment, and that was a condition for them to carry on the assessment. So.
Right. In order for them to get custody, they would have to agree with the court. Yes, my daughter is a bad parent.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. Now, what about the allegations? Again, okay, Abraham. Now, there's allegations that you were spanking the kids with spoons. Say about that.
No, they're not allegations. I admitted to hitting the children with spoons. Yes. What happened was that once the children began disclosing, their behaviour deteriorated even further. Once they explained to us that their father had ordered them to touch each other intimately 5 times a day, that they had been killing children regularly, they had been sacrificing children in the church, consuming their flesh and consuming their blood, that they had been sodomizing other children. It seemed that they felt no qualms about enacting this behavior. They no longer felt the necessity to hide this behavior from us. And because we knew that they were ordered to touch each other 5 times a day intimately, and that they had been doing it, they no longer hid this from us. And we began having to separate them, and we even had to take to locking ourselves in our bedroom because we became concerned for our own safety. The children also admitted, they disclosed to us that they had sexually abused a 3-year-old child, a toddler, that was staying in the same hotel in the same farm that we were staying in Morocco, and they just became increasingly aggressive towards us. Yes, they had been ordered by their father for 2 years. He'd been ordering them to kill Ella, but due to her loving devotion toward the children, they would not do it. When I materialized, he told them then to kill me. And Elisa had actually sent Gabriel into the bedroom one time, but Gabriel wouldn't kill me. So they sent him in to cut a lock of my hair, which he duly did. So they were grooming him. They were grooming him to kill me. Now, this is some of what was going on. And as I say, I think it was one of the times when they were touching each other intimately, and we had prevented them, and they were becoming increasingly aggressive and angry about this. Now, we didn't know it was because they were so fearful. They were fearful. They had been terrorized by their father, and the reason that they were carrying out his orders was because he had threatened to kill them, and they knew that he would do it because they'd witnessed him killing other children.
I have a couple of questions for you. First of all, can you guys do another hour?
When?
Right now. Because otherwise we got 10 minutes left. We're not going to get to everything.
Only if you let us talk about the trauma-based mind control, Ed.
You can talk whatever you want. You got to talk questions too.
I'm teasing. Of course we can.
Okay, good. Now my question for you is this. Now, the little boy was 9 years old.
Yeah.
Right?
8
years old. And you got him on over your lap. You're spanking him with a spoon.
No, I never got him over my lap and spanked him with my spoon. No.
Somehow you were spanking him with a spoon in some position.
No, he was standing in front of me. He was standing, and I hit him on the head with the spoon. They had on the head. They had told us that their father was hitting them with a large metal spoon in the school. If they screamed, he'd hit them with the spoon. Yeah. When they were being abused, when they were being sodomized, if they made a noise, he would hit them with a large metal, I think a serving spoon from the school canteen. And
the way if they're screaming more, then the school nurse would inject them and put them to sleep.
Would sedate them. Yeah. Yeah.
My question is, Abe, is that you're afraid that this little 9-year-old boy is going to kill you, but you...
No. I wasn't afraid the boy. No. I wasn't afraid the boy was going to kill me. Elisa was the one I was more. Look, I'll explain it to you this way, Ed, so that you can get a picture.
Okay.
All right. As I've told you before, I spent a lot of my youth in and out of correctional facilities. There was one time I was in a jail cell with two other young men. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I had a disagreement with one of the other men in the cell, and we had a fight. We had a fisticuff fight. We had a fight in the cell, yeah. And that later on that evening, I had to sleep in that cell, in that same cell with those two guys, yeah.
Okay.
I felt more fearful for my life with Elisa and Gabrielle than I ever did in jail. Okay?
Because you thought that they would come in with knives or something and kill you?
Elisa knew. Elisa admitted that she told us that she was thinking of killing us. She told us. We asked her.
She told us on few occasions. You see what happened. Even though children were relieved about the disclosure and finally being able to talk about it, they still been brainwashed and conditioned and desensitized, and also Alisa felt she felt some loyalty to her father as well. You see, so that's and they were going back and forward. One moment it was there were those beautiful innocent children who were relieved of those. Of the burden of this experience, and on the other hand, they would become cold, cynical. How to say?
They only all they ever knew. They'd grown up with the cult all their life, so it's understandable that they felt, a sense of misplaced loyalty, if you will, a sort of what they call Stockholm syndrome towards the cult, Ed.
And we were struggling as well to stop this touching, and also they started to do something else. They started to put poo on our food.
They were poisoning. They'd been poisoning us for a while, Ed. They'd been wiping my toothbrush around the Moroccan toilet. Yeah, wiping our toothbrushes around the Moroccan toilet. We caught them sticking their finger in their anus and putting poo on our food. It's something that their father had taught them.
And they were doing for 2 years before that to my food.
He told them repeatedly, the term he used was, make it difficult for mama. Make it difficult for your mother. And we realise now that the reason they did this was to ensure that Ella never had time to work out what was going on. You see?
In addition, they had sign languages.
Oh wow! When we kept them separate, because we had to keep them separate. After a while, we had to keep them in separate rooms because they always stayed in the same room, so they had ample opportunity to carry out their father's orders. And once we separated them, and it became more difficult for them, then that's when their behaviour deteriorated. And it was during one of these episodes when Elisa was going to her room that I noticed. I think it was Gabriel. No, it was Gabriel going to his room, and I noticed Elisa make a sign to him with her eyes, and at first I couldn't, it didn't register to me. I couldn't quite believe it, It was a non-verbal communication with her eyes, and then I realised they've got a secret language. They've got a secret sign language.
And then they admitted that.
And they revealed to us
that the demon was teaching them and other children in the school this secret sign language.
Well, let me ask you this now, because this was during a period of time when they stopped having visits with their father, correct?
No, they hadn't stopped having visits with him. They'd only just begun having visits with him, as far as we were concerned.
After about 2 years.
Although he'd been seeing them every day in school. For how long? For how long was it?
For about 2 years.
Was it 2 years he was going to school?
No, maybe over a year, I would say, because the thing is, he didn't see. He officially did not see them for 2 years. Now, part of this time he went to America and then to India, and then we suspect he returned in spring of 2013.
Because that was when
this is the reason we suspect that is I suspect that is because children behavior deteriorated dramatically then. And all this time he did not see them, he didn't ask for any contacts, and he was visiting them in school.
We got 3 minutes left in the 2-hour show, and some people are only going to hear the 2-hour show. So now, how can people find you? What's your website? If you want to contact?
Yeah, well, our website been taken down now on third occasion after we started to talk about mind control.
But it will be up again within the next 2 days because it's under reconstruction, if you will.
Yes.
Our website is www.hampsteadcoverup.com.
Yes, and then there is another website coming as well, is freethehampstead2.com.
Free the Hampstead 2, that's a numerical 2.
And what if people want to email you, get a hold of you?
They can contact
They can contact us through our page, through our contact page, once the website is up.
Which that'll be up in another 2 days.
Hopefully.
So, what do you want to leave the audience with right now? The larger audience right now in the last couple of minutes, and we can do another hour after this.
We would like to advise the audience to speak to your children. Ask your children.
What's going on in
Ask them
schools.
what's going on in school. Speak to them. Tell them not to be fearful, because we know that this is happening in America, and we now know that it's happening in the UK. You guys have got you've got your history of this. There's a documented history of trauma-based mind control programs happening in the US. You've got the Franklin scandal. You've got the Finders. You've got the McMartin preschool scandal. You've got numerous instances of it going on. You've got the Jakarta International School where Barack Obama, your mind control sex slave president, he attended that school. And a teacher there, his name is Neil Buntelman, he was sentenced to a 10-year prison sentence for crimes eerily similar to those of the Hampstead case. And Neil Buntelman, has just been released after serving less than a year of that sentence. The Jakarta International School, we believe, is a CIA indoctrination school, and there's a website called Angifarm, a blog called Angifarm blog.
Spell it.
It's ANGIRFAN, Angifarm. It's run by 2 girls that explains a lot of this information. There's a lot of stuff on the internet, and Angifarm is a good place to start.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to end the show now, and we'll tape another hour with our guests here, Abraham Christie and Ella Gariva, about the case about the Hampstead cover-up, guys. Good night.
Good night.
Oh boy. Okay.
Well done, Ed.
Yeah, thank you. Well done.
Yeah, it was getting a bit hot in there. It was getting a bit contentious, Ed, in there. What's happening?
Well, the thing is, because I need you to answer the questions I ask you.
Absolutely. But another thing, I'm not her boyfriend, Ed.
Okay.
No, I'm her handler. No. I'm her partner, Ed. If you could say partner, that would be much more. I'm 60 years of age. I can't be anyone's boyfriend, not even yours, Ed.
Okay, fine.
I'm too old to be in.
How old are you?
I'm 43. I just turned 43 about a week ago.
Yeah, happy birthday.
I date girls much younger than 43.
Pardon? You date girls what?
I says I'm 53. I date girls much younger than 43.
You're a naughty boy, Ed. That's why. You're a naughty boy.
Okay, so you want to do another half hour?
Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, if you really focus on the questions, and because I know you guys.
It's just so much to say,
There's so much information.
It's so much information,
Sure.
so many details. And we're trying to give a fuller picture. You see,
And your audience. The thing about it, Ed, is your audience, as you know, as you well know, they're kind of new to the case, yeah. But whereas we've been doing interviews with the British audience, you know, with the British alternative media, because because it's state sponsored, this whole program, none of the mainstream media can touch it. None of the mainstream media can touch this story. I think they've got what they call a DA notice, you know. That's what they call it, yeah. That prevents them. It's a government sort of how can I say? It's a government issued
restriction.
Warning.
Restriction.
And
reporting restriction.
Yeah. So none of the mainstream media can touch it. And hitherto, none of the alternative gatekeepers have touched it. So the only time we start to hear from them is when the case when we find out some new information, because we also discovered that this case is connected to the Prime Minister via some money laundering, yeah, and that created quite a bit of a stir. And then any time we discover some new information, because I don't know if I told you, well, are we recording?
It's recording, but not for the show. It's recording on call notes.
Okay, well, maybe let's start the official recording.
Yeah. Okay, welcome back to the continuing discussion with the case of the pit cover-up with Ella Gariva and Abraham Christie, their partners. Okay, we're back with our guests here, and it's a very serious case, but you know, we've been talking for so long this week that we've gotten a little comfortable. But if this let's check out the OperaReport.com members section. So, a little brief review of the case. Ella and Abraham noticed that these children were starting to exhibit signs of sexual molestation. The kids confessed to them. They took a video of it. They went to the police. Really nothing happened with the police investigation, even though there was pretty significant evidence pointing toward one person. There was a medical report and there was children's testimony, but there was no arrest made. Then this continued in family court. Ella could not continue in family court because of a threat of arrest and harassment charges. The judge ultimately ruled against them, and the kids are now in the custody of foster care. But Ella, now they are allowed to visit their father, or no?
So I'm sure that the father is seeing them, because even before the conclusion of the proceedings about 3 months ago, I've seen the document where the social services already allowed unsupervised contacts within. No. There was a document within the contact center. Before he received more, he was allowed more contacts than me, and majority of my contacts been suspended anyway under different false or under ridiculous reasons, like I wasn't even allowed to bring children's favorite foods, for example, for the contacts. And when you said that significant evidence against at least one person, against at least 3 people, it was Damon, the father of the children, then the headmistress, Kate Forsdyke, and one of the teachers, Louise Hollings. And children testified in details and extensively against those individuals.
Yeah, that's true. And if we don't exist a police report where the police actually examine their bodies to see if there were tattoos on their bodies, as the kids claimed.
No, none of this taken place. The case was not even it was not investigated.
That particular piece of evidence was hidden away. None of the investigating officers had access to that information. The distinguishing what is known now as the tattoos and distinguishing marks evidence.
Although we presented police with the drawings of the children, with the plans, with the secret rooms of the within the church, and some other parents' houses, and Mr. Hollings and Damon's house. So none of those addresses been investigated. No forensics been investigating those premises. And there are a lot of details which had never been uh,
We're not recording.
never confirmed. Yeah.
We're not recording.
Oh.
Something got stuck. We didn't go on. Okay, we have to start over. Sorry, guys.
Okay, we start over. No,
No
problem.
problem.
What was the question again?
Well, yeah, I got to start the whole thing with the whole.
Okay,
Come on then.
Okay.
Oh, correct.
we're not so much on the run. We're kind of stationary. But yeah, you know, we're
Yeah, but we know that we know that I'm wanted by the police for questioning
yeah.
in the UK, for example, and the harassment, the intimidation, the involvement of numerous agents, offline and online in this case, indicates of the governmental involvement. So we have to be careful. You know, our website been shut down 3 times now, and
Ask you about the website gets shut down. Who's shutting it down? How is it getting shut down?
Oh well, that was the father he's pretty adept at cloning sites and creating YouTube identities, and he writes.
Okay.
There was a young fellow who had done a linguistic forensic analysis of the children's retraction interviews, and
so-called retractions.
and he published these online, and he's an academic and he's qualified. And Dearman, the father, he wrote to the fellows where he's studying. Is it university? He wrote to his superiors under a pseudonym. He writes under numerous. He has about, I think, at last count, I think it's 40 what we call sock puppets, 40 false identities that he uses on the internet in attempt to control the narrative of the story. So this is what
Together with other agents, with the agents.
There are one or two other agents that assist him, but he's the main protagonist. And he wrote as a character known as Hugh Fredericks. He wrote complaining about our website, citing some fraudulent court injunctions, and he also wrote to, as we say, to the superiors of this young man who provided us with a forensic linguistic analysis of the children's retractions.
However,
that's how the website, we believe, is being shut down.
Yeah, but also the way that we've been attacked, and for example, this person been attacked, it's we feel it's more than complaint. You know, he's been harassed. He's been made to take this his report offline. He asked us to take all the information from our website in regards his report, and it was like a big stir created in this educational establishment where he's doing his doctor's degree, and the same thing with similarly with our website. This complaint was. We explained what's going on, and it was quite comprehensive and reasonable statement that I made, but still the website, the server, they wouldn't have it, and the way they kind of dealt with that, it was obvious that it was more than just Dearman's complaint.
Yeah, he was quite happy. Him and his one or two cohorts, they were quite happy spamming the comment section of our website until there were a number of other supporters came to support us, and then.
But mainly because of the latest post.
We began. It wasn't until we began exposing the trauma-based mind control aspect of the case that they upped the ante in shutting the site down.
So basically, what they're doing is they're complaining to the hosting companies and shutting the site down.
Yes,
That's
initially,
right.
that's what they
YouTube
do.
as well, and they're taking children's videos. And that's why it's important to.
They keep removing. They keep removing the children's videos, specifically Elisa's police interviews. They keep removing them from the internet.
and many other videos as well.
But
Based on children's
many of the
testimony.
supporters have downloaded them and have got copies, and so the videos are going up again. But their issue is that the children's faces are being shown, so a lot of some of the supporters are blurring the children's faces and uploading.
But the thing is, the problem is with this whole law of
that's
the
an
children
issue.
of the children faces
Good point.
not being allowed to disclose or to show. It's not to protect children from the abusers. It's actually to protect them, the abusers, the perpetrators, from being revealed and exposed.
Okay, well, aside from the blurring the kids' faces, there's hosting companies in Russia and Iceland who don't care about complaints. They'll host your site. They don't care how many people are complaining. They'll keep the site up.
Yeah, well, that's what we
that's
what we found out.
Yeah, we realised that, but our hosting. Why was he able to take it down at Wix? Wix is not the hosting.
No. This is the kind of the website building platform. And,
Now let me ask you this: have you explored the possible lawsuits against the father?
Yes, we have explored the possibility of lawsuits against the father and
the other perpetrators
and others. Yes, and we're discussing with our legal team, but we can't say too much at present.
Because then you would be able to get discovery and take photographs of their bodies and stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes, but the level of cover up, we don't really hope too much.
You see,
we don't
what
place too much hope in.
You're not the first. Yeah, sorry.
In the further investigation.
You're not the
because
first.
the thing is, every door that we were knocking on was shut right in front of our face. Every single thing. However, there is organization called IPCC, Independent Police Complaint Commission, who's upheld our complaint against the Metropolitan Police, and now it's up to the Metropolitan Police to respond to this complaint, because they've been I made the complaint a long time ago, right in October, I think, and of course they invited me for the interview and they tried to make me look like crazy, asking
October
me
2014.
14, right after children being taken to the custody. To so-called police protection. But by the way, when the children were taken in the custody, the reason that the police given us was that I did not protect children from the abuse that has taken place in the school, and then Sorry.
Yeah, really.
Yes, and then we saw the documents of those strategy meetings, and it looked like they outlined quite a lot of actions that's supposed to be taken, like investigating the perpetrators and many other things. None of this, of course, was were followed up, and so anyway, coming back to this complaint, police never took any notice of this complaint, and not just that. We know that in the first hour I mentioned about Bill Maloney and Brian Garish, and what happened. You see, we actually on the 12th of August, just recently, we withdrew from the legal proceedings as being unlawful and illegal, and it was 6 article non-compliant hearing, Article 6 non-compliant hearing, because what happened, all the documents from day one which I've been receiving, I received it in the redacted, altered form, edited form. For example, Chris report was heavily edited, heavily redacted. That pieces been missing from the Chris report, and
20 pages.
And all other documents as well. So we only found out about this summer. And we saw that the judges were covering it up and perverting the course of justice. But what happened back then? but we managed to get some of those redacted, cut out pieces.
Some of the edited,
Some of those edited pieces we managed to get hold of them, and one of those, only one from Chris' report, for example, it indicates that at that time those leaders of alternative media, Brian Garish of UK Column and Bill Maloney, they are actually part of the gatekeepers, as you said, because when Brian Garish he knew about this case, he's been in communication with us even before children were taken, and now we have a confirmation of the trail of emails coming from Brian Garish.
From Brian Garish, we gave Ella sent Brian Garish the file, an email file with all of the information, all the names of the alleged abusers, and the details of the intimate distinguishing marks and the tattoos. Now, Bill Maloney, who works with Brian Garish, already knew about the tattoos, because Leon Britton, ex-Home Office, a known Talmudic sodomite, member of the cult, he had abused a young man named Andrew, and Andrew had given evidence to the police with Bill Maloney present, and also some Sunday Express newspaper reporters. They were present when Andrew described Leon Britton's tattoo on his pudenda, and Andrew made a drawing of this tattoo for the police, and this was a year before our story broke. So Bill Maloney,
and the description of the tattoo is very similar to what children are describing from their experience.
Right. So Bill Maloney knew about Leon Britton's tattoo on his pudenda, and then when Ella sent the file describing the alleged abuser's tattoos to Brian Garish, he sent this file 4 days later to Bill Maloney. Bill Maloney, he sent the file on to a fellow known as Nathan Numbnuts Rogers.
Wedger or something.
Nathan Numbnuts Wedger.
The police informant.
A known police informant, Nathan Numbnuts Wedger. And the file eventually found its way back to the investigating officers.
But it went through the entire loop. It went up to DPS, which is a directory of professional standard within the police, who saw that and who then were warning in those emails the investigator Steve Martin, who then interviewed children about this file.
So the file eventually found its way back to the investigating officer.
And now we have this evidence. Now we have this trail of emails.
Yes, we have, but the point is that Bill Maloney, who presents himself as a
child activist.
As a leading activist against child abuse, he knew about Leon Britton's tattoo that was drawn by one of Leon Britton's victims, and so when he received this file corroborating the tattoo evidence, he knew that it was true, because the children's evidence corroborated Andrew's evidence. And yet neither Bill Maloney nor Brian Garish have said one word about the tattoos. The police haven't mentioned the tattoos. There's no mention of the tattoos in the Chris report. Nobody wants to mention the tattoos or the intimate distinguishing marks,
because it's been most incriminating evidence in this story, and nobody investigated that.
And this has helped to expose a couple of leading so-called child activists, Bill Maloney and Brian Garish, who's been there established for many decades. Yes, and a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot has been invested in establishing their careers as gatekeepers, and they're fighting to the bitter end, because they've been exposed as shills, as disinformation shills, and they're covering up.
And police informants.
They're covering up the child abuse and the trauma-based mind control programs, and this Hampstead case is a poison chalice to a lot of these people, because they're not the only ones who've been exposed. There are a few others that have been exposed, like the Mackenzie friends and their
Or
associates
judges or
and policemen.
You were able to get the redacted part unredacted. How were you able to do that?
Well, they had to furnish us with once our very astute legal team had worked out the exact parts that had been redacted.
and we pointed it.
We
out.
didn't give them every instance. Our legal team didn't point out every single instance of the redactions. Our legal team explained to the other parties that the documents had been redacted, and the other parties attempted to
cover this up. But the thing is another important thing here, that during this the fact finding went ahead without me, and but then there is a guardian for the children, or also is a party to the proceedings,
Justin Agueros,
and he was asking certain questions. Majority of those police detectives been invited for cross-examination, as well as Dr. Hodes, and who again confirmed and insisted on her findings, and
the point you're making.
Then what happened during this fact finding been recorded, and we requested the transcripts of those recordings. So we now know from these fact findings that those police detectives lied. For example, like Steve Martin is saying that he had conversations with Kate Forsdyke, where there is no there was this information during the fact finding that there was an entry in the Chris report stating that the police was intending to interview both Forsdyke and Hollings is one of the teachers. And
there was consideration to interview them, that's
and
right.
Kate Forsdyke, she's a mistress, right? Headmistress. So those three people are the main perpetrators, which children are alleged against extensively and in great details. So then in the... so this fact that the consideration been given to the interviews was registered. However, there is no the version that I have does not have such an entry. So we know that it's either this Chris report been redacted, which we know because we've got with one of our supporters as well done a quite a particular analysis of this Chris report, and so during the fact finding. Then it was confirmed. Yes, there's such consideration been given, and we asked Agueros, the advocate for the Guardian, where such entry exists in the Chris report. And after this question, he confirmed this question, and then when we asked for his we confronted him, saying that where the Chris report, where such entry been made, and after that there was no communication at all. They stopped all the communication, as well as in a similar manner the advocates for the London Borough of Barnet been implicated in perversion of course of justice, as well as judges. So we know it's all this recorded evidence we have from this fact finding and from those redacted, cut out pieces that we managed to get.
And we couldn't work out why they were so blatantly perverting the course of justice. And so obviously, so publicly,
like articles of human rights been breached. At least 3 of the articles been breached. So it was
didn't make sense to us until we realised that it was a state-sponsored trauma-based mind control program, and that, as we said on numerous occasions, this piece of the jigsaw explains all of the other anomalies.
And all this satanic ritual abuse
is merely a smoke screen for their activities. Even they try to rubbish this allegation, and they're creating, like in America, this satanic panic created by CIA, funded with the panel of the psychologists, I think.
The false memory syndrome.
The false memory syndrome as well.
Because the trauma-based mind control programs always use this ritual sexual abuse, or this satanic ritual abuse. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. You said that you were able to do an analysis of the retraction interview, where the children were made a retraction of their allegations.
Yeah.
Now, how did you get a copy of that interview?
How did we get a copy of the interview? This is strange. They were released onto the. How did we get a copy? I don't know. You were given them by mayor.
No, what happened right in the beginning? The case been transferred for some reason from the High Court to the Little County Court, and the judge within this court, which was also perverting the course of justice. However, in the beginning, she was trying to play just, and she ordered the disclosure of the police investigation. And this is how Chris report and the transcript of Diamond's interview, as well as the police children's video interviews, came to me.
So the police interview of the children was made available to you, but was it made available to the public?
No, of course not, because this material is part of the proceedings within secret family court. What I mean is, there is, for some reason, we know now for which reason, the family court became secret. There is no members of public or of press are allowed in the court. So they're doing quietly their job there. They're covering those cases in the secret family court. So of course, none of these documents were made public. It's only because Mackenzie friends published these documents in February. That's how this material found its way online. And what happened by doing this, they try to implicate me because
and to jeopardize the case
and jeopardize the case, because this is as an offense to publish case documents anywhere.
Oh, right. And so now these retractions posted on too.
Pardon? You broke up there, Ed.
The retraction interviews, they were posted on YouTube.
Yeah.
Everything was posted in YouTube. The videos that we've done, then those short ones, then the police interviews, and numerous of other documents like medical reports, the Chris report, is all been published online. And it still is. I imagine. You can still find, and a lot of people who viewed those materials save them, and they're republishing it now.
And every week, new videos are being made about the case.
And different, covering different angles of it.
Now, the civilian complaint that you made against the police department.
Pardon?
The civilian complaint that you made against the police department.
Yeah.
It's been successful. You've won this complaint.
Well, this is the complaint been upheld so far. So it's now up to the Metropolitan Police to respond to this complaint. They're already overdue with their response, maybe by month. And we keep writing to them. I mean, our legal team keep writing to them, and the next step will be for this independent police complaint committee to make a decision to start investigation. But let's see what happens if this not going to be covered up or influenced in some way.
How long has it been since you visited with your children?
Last time I've seen the children, Alice and Gabriel, was around. It was in the beginning of January, and at that during that meeting, Alice said that the children said that they want to go home. They want to come back to me, and they had enough of this foster care. And when it was at the very end of the meeting, and I said, well, let's make a quick letter to the judge and explain the situation, that you want to come back home. And the social worker who was monitoring this meeting almost jumped up when she heard that, and after that all the contact's been suspended. I haven't seen children, I haven't spoken to them, I have no idea what's going on. And now, because of this damning judgment against me, and then the following judgment in August, neither me nor my parents or anybody from my family are allowed to. Well, particularly me and my parents are not allowed to have any contacts with the children.
What about your oldest son? Does he see the kids?
No, he applied many times, but his request been ignored.
Ed.
And now my sister is in communication with social services, but they're stalling for time.
Ed, the children will be held incommunicado because they have too much information.
They already disclosed a lot, and of course they fear that they're going to disclose even more.
Okay, so it's been 1 year since you've seen the kids.
Yeah,
Now, and the kids in the custody of foster care.
that's correct. It's we know that it's the at least third family that they've changed for them.
Now, is there any open litigation where you're trying to actively get visitation with these kids?
Right now, no, because it was a final judgment where everything. I mean, the legal proceeding was stopped, so I don't have any access to the children. And not just that, all our appeal been killed. They gave some rubbish explanation saying that our grounds were not drafted properly or professionally, something like that. And in fact, they how to say, they stopped all our actions that we've been undertaking.
This is why we're giving instructions to our legal team to take out private prosecutions, Ed. This seems to be the only sensible way forward.
But you said you instructed them to take what?
Private prosecutions. That's what we call it in the UK. Private prosecutions.
It's to take the case to the criminal court. In a way.
Okay, but there's one other issue to know. What about in the finding, in the faulty finding? She says that there was evidence of marijuana in the children's system. Well, what's the story?
Tell them about the first.
Yeah. So what happened? You see,
the fact that he's been given the drug.
Yeah.
Trauma-based mind.
Exactly. So what happened? Children also disclosed to us that they've been given heavy drugs like heroin and cocaine, and children described in great details how it was done, and we know it's also part of this mind control programming that they are giving children the heavy drugs. So what happened on the first day of the investigation on the 5th of September, in my presence, they taking hair samples, which the results of those tests gone missing. I mean, I've never seen the results, and then they take another analysis of their hair. Once the children were already in the custody, like 3-4 months after, and these results showing that children have traces of THC in their hair. And what happened? because they know that of our nutrition, that we're consuming raw cannabis, which does not have any psychoactive ingredients while it's fresh. It's only when cannabis, it's only the high THC varieties are dried and then smoked, then this psychoactive effect takes place. However, we consume hemp seeds. This is the staple of our diet, which is the most suitable, bioavailable, and the ideal food for human beings. It's got ideal proportion of all the essential nutrients, like essential sugars, fats, proteins, cannabinoids, which are essential to our existence. So this is the staple of our diet, and the children explained as well to the police this particular bit, and we suspect that they are taking this aspect of our lifestyle and turned and made we call tavispin. They made fabricated allegations against us because of that, or by taking this fact. They
This is
kind
all
of
part of the social engineering. You see, Tavistock are deeply implicated in this whole case, because they are responsible for the trauma-based mind control programming and for mass mind control of the populace.
and on individual level.
And so they have to ensure that this information doesn't get out. And this is what happens to whistleblowers. They accuse the whistleblowers of what they themselves are guilty of. They have been
giving drugs, like in Musa's case, like for example, those parents been accused giving drugs to newborn babies.
You know, this is par for the course. The thing is, it's difficult. It's almost as if a last taboo has been, you know, it's almost asking people to accept the last taboo, that your government is working against you.
It's conspiring against you and your children.
And brainwashing your children, you know, to their own ends, to create their army of mind control slaves.
Which is part
like
of
something out of a dystopian future, but it's a reality here and now.
And it's a part of the so-called introduction of the New World Order.
Yep, the Illuminati New World Order. And here it is. Here it is in full effect.
Okay, let's take a commercial break, and then we'll get back. We'll finish up. Okay.
All right then.
Okay, thank you. Okay, welcome back to the. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed. We're here with Al Gariva and Abraham Christie, and we're discussing the case of the Hampstead cover-up. Now, Ella, I want to ask you. It's been 8 kids. Now,
Sorry, you're breaking up. Sorry, Ed.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, now it's been a year since you've seen your kids. Was there ever a time in the where you maybe could have reached out to the children's father and try and negotiated some kind of a deal or reasoned with him to get you out of that court?
I know, to be honest, I haven't been in communication with the father at all.
But what about the lawyers? Couldn't your lawyers have been in touch with his lawyers and tried to work out some kind of a reasonable settlement?
He is not in charge effectively. It's the social services who are holding the children, who are making the decision about their welfare.
Yeah, right now, but I'm talking about way back when the family court decision was being made.
You mean during this last year, since the children disclosed, or are you talking before that?
Made that order, putting the kids in the custody of foster care.
No, he has never had. He formally he didn't have a say in that. The whole time it was the social services who was in charge, and who has taken the children, who kidnapped the children.
So right now, listen, I'm very familiar with family court here, with corrupt family court, and all the heartache that goes with kids. I lost custody of my kid for a while, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, as a main focus, because I'm sure it must be a heartbreaking situation not being able to see your kids, especially knowing all the trauma that they're going through. Do you think that vaccine and all this other stuff is the best strategy to get back with your kids, or you lost all hope of ever getting back with your kids?
No, I haven't lost the hope, that's why we keep going with the campaign, with the internet and offline campaign in regards in returning the children. And now many people know about the case and watching what's going on and watching the actions of the authorities. And that's why this is the only reason why they haven't handed the children to their father right away, which they normally do. We know that, for example, from the communication with the Russian embassy, I know that at least 9 children have been taken from the families in similar circumstances, not as horrific as as this case, but quite similar, where the father was discovered as being sexually raping the young children, and the children been handed to those rapists, to those abusers. And this is a common practice in the UK, and I know it's going on in the United States as well. And this is where, and of course, I'm fighting for my children, and I'm not gonna just give up on my children, never.
So, but you think that the best course of strategy is to be exposing all this type of stuff?
Absolutely, because we know that they are behind. We know that the government is behind that. It's a centralized, institutionalized program. This was going on, and we know that during the experience of this case, as I said, every single door was locked, or every avenue was blocked. Wherever we went, all our appeals were dismissed. And dismissed without any grounds at all. As we mentioned before, there was the evidence of provision of course of justice, where, for example, the latest Judge Ryder, for example, he already came to the hearing with a ready-made judgment, and for example, there were many other grounds which he never addressed, and this is now how things should be happening in the legal proceedings, and also. Mm-hmm.
I've seen judges show up with my own eyes. I've seen it. I've seen them show up judgment. Their judgment already right now. They're already right now before they even heard the case.
That's right. The same thing with Puffley, like she knew that the crucial evidence was concealed on the first day of the investigation. He's stating the fact, and she found it curious that it happened. And she took the duty of the criminal judge, and which was fraudulent. You can't just go and jump your jurisdictions, but that's what she did. And completed the whole investigation within 11 days.
But my question is, strategy, the theory of your strategy right now is that by exposing the MK Ultra program and trauma-based mind control and all this, that the work is going to make, yes, George and Ella, Abraham and Ella are correct. This is true.
Yeah. Yes.
And we're going to admit all this is true and overturn this judgment.
Yes, of course, and not just that. We have evidence, documented evidence of everything we're saying. It's no hearsay here.
Right.
Everything has been documented. We have evidence to support everything we're saying.
But that's a strategy asking the court to declare.
Court, we're not gonna. Sorry, Ed. We're not gonna. We know that we're not gonna achieve anything in the court. We've been in the court for a year, and we had quite a strong legal team who are in shock at the of the level of the cover up and the blatant cover up. You know, they don't care. They just cover up, thinking that they're gonna get away with that, because they've been getting away with that for a very long time.
But the Hampstead cover-up is their black swan. If you're familiar with the term by Nassim Taleb, they didn't legislate for two children revealing the inner workings of their mind control programs. Even though the children weren't aware that it was a mind control program, they knew that something was wrong. So what are you asking us? Are you asking us whether or not we expect to achieve anything?
No, I was asking whether about the strategy.
If you think that this is the best strategy to be pursuing.
About exposing.
This is the only strategy. Yeah, this is the only strategy.
It seems like that.
Yeah.
Because
we've attempted.
We're not achieving anything officially, through the official routes. This is obvious. High court judges are implicated in the cover-up. Metropolitan Police is implicated. Social services implicated.
Lamestream media.
We know that this case leads as we.
So then once everything's exposed, okay, and you're proven to be 100 correct in your allegations, your accusations here.
That's right.
What mechanism would overturn the custody? Who would come in and do it?
Well, who will come in and do it? It will have to be a people's decision. It will have to be a what we call it a people's court.
Public outcry.
It's the only way. Look, the people will call for the children to be released, because once the people know that the children are victims, they are subject to trauma-based mind control, state-sponsored trauma-based mind control, and they're not the only ones. It's infested our educational system in the UK. Right, the educational bodies are involved. Camden Educational Board is obviously involved. The children explained to us that they had visited 10 schools in the area where these practices were being carried out. They named 7 of the schools, okay, and this has been going on. The intelligence services have been implicated in the case in the Kincora Boys' Home in Ireland most recently, and so it's not shocking. It's not a surprise. There's documented evidence of these things going on, and it just so happens that Elise and Gabrielle have highlighted this.
I'm not questioning at all that these things go on, or that what you're stating is accurate. But my question is we have to find a solution to get you out of this.
That's right. No, we understand. But what do you think?
No one else has ever achieved even this degree of success. No one else has even achieved this much, Ed. And each day we're giving.
Ending up in either in psychiatric hospitals or in prison and dead.
There's one mother, Rachel Patriarch. No one's ever heard of her. No one has ever heard of this girl, but she had a child taken from her.
3 children.
3 children taken from her wrongfully, and she was imprisoned in Holloway Prison because she wouldn't stop talking about the case. She wouldn't keep quiet, and then
she still wasn't keeping quiet,
and so they sedated her, and then eventually she died in hospital, and you wouldn't even know about her. No one would know about her had we not mentioned her name here now.
But we see your point. We see your point that but this is the only option we've got left with, and there are people awakened, people who see the truth and supporting the children, and that's why this campaign grew to the scale it reached.
And this is why you've invited us. You're in America, and this is why you have invited us on your show. Had we not embarked on a campaign, had we not, videoed the children, had someone not put the videos out there, you wouldn't know about the case. And so, had it remained in the secret family courts, we wouldn't be speaking now, Ed.
Oh, no, listen, don't think that I'm being critical.
No, it's not that. I'm just.
I can sympathize with how you feel, because again, I went through a whole year-long custody thing. It was almost 2 years. Bankrupted me. I had no car. They took my car. It was the way I walked.
Well done, Ed.
Yeah. So it was a horrific experience for me as well. Not as bad as your situation, obviously.
No, everything. No, come on. No one carries more than they can bear. But you've survived. You survived yours, Ed. So,
So I don't think I'm being critical. I'm really not. I'm just trying to think if this was the way to go. I don't know, man.
No, constructive criticism can be useful.
What's your thoughts about on that? I mean, obviously, you know about mind control. You know about the satanic ritual abuse. What's going on across the world, or at least in so-called civilized world. So, what do you think?
Well, I don't know. I think the civil lawsuit might be a way for you to go. I think some kind of negotiated settlement with these people. That you're willing to be quiet. If they'll just give your kids back and work something out.
We definitely won't be quiet. And this is when the negotiation will take place.
Well, we did.
They don't want this. They don't want to be exposed. Obviously.
We offered this to one of the operatives, one of the Mackenzie friends. We explained to them that this case back in February, was it February? Yes, back in February at the Russian embassy. You see, one of the moves that they did, they got us to go to the Russian embassy under false pretenses because they wanted to get access to a fund that the Russian embassy provides for Russian citizens to cover their legal fees in situations like this, and they wanted to get access to the fund. But at that particular meeting, I explained. Ella had already left the jurisdiction, but I explained to the Mackenzie friend and the Russian consulate and others present. I explained that this case had the potential to become a cause célèbre, and eventually become a question of national security. And now the authorities realise that it is becoming a question of national security, and they want to put the D notice. They want to stop people from talking about the case. Now, why would they want people to stop talking about the case?
Well, yeah, obviously, the obvious reasons is they're in on it.
Absolutely.
That's right. So that's why we're doing what we're doing, and
publicity is the soul of justice.
And of course they try to put this false story in mass media. This article, the day the judgment been made, the press release already been prepared by the judiciary and been passed to all the major newspapers. And on the same day, this article came out talking about that,
accusing us of torturing, projecting
the children,
projecting upon us what they do. That's right, projecting upon us exactly what they do.
Torture the children, all the. That's all for fabrication, of course. But however, I've been presented with the photographs of the children, of their injuries, and these injuries were fresh. After the children been taken into the custody, I've been presented those photographs as evidence, as alleged evidence of Abraham abusing children. And of course they compiled the big story about him pushing children against the wall and torturing them on some metal tray and all kind of things, and
But we had taken the children. But when we took the children,
when they showed me the photographs, I didn't recognize any of these injuries. So looks like they've been actually injuring the children and been maybe hurting children for them to bully the children to provide the retractions, or so-called retraction, because it was not actually a retraction at all. Children only retracted, or so-called retracted, only one, particular details about not killing babies. However, I'm sure you can watch those videos where Gabriel still confirming at least 7 times that the babies were killed. And he says, "Oh, babies were killed, but not every day." This is kind of retractions there was.
This is why the story will run and run and run, Ed, because the information is out there online. The truth is already out there, and people have seen it. Okay, and this is why they are intent on taking the videos down, as we mentioned earlier. At least
closing websites and closing YouTube channels.
This is all they've got. They have to deny freedom of speech, because the people already know what's gone on, and more people are hearing about this story, and more people want to know the truth.
And making this connection between this case and mind control.
Because we were pointed in the direction of Tavistock and trauma-based mind control at the outset, but we were just, we were lost in the sea of information, and we didn't know, we were falling down a rabbit hole, if you will. And now we know. Now, with this information, we feel that
we reached the bottom.
We finally feel that we've landed. That everything makes sense now.
Okay,
with this,
how can people get a hold of you?
We mentioned
www.hampsteadcoverup.com, which has been taken down 3 times in the last 2 weeks.
Hopefully, will be up soon.
It'll be up again in 2 days' time. And there's the other website. Free the Hampstead 2. That's a numerical 2.
I would imagine it will come out a bit later.
That will be up shortly afterwards. But first, go to hampsteadcoverup.com, and they'll be able to contact us via an email, a contact page there on the website. Yeah, and they can go onto the internet, and if they just Google Hampstead Cover Up or Papa Kills Babies, Hampstead Cover Up I think is the best search term, and they'll find oodles of information. They'll find at least 60 videos made about the case, and they'll find loads and loads and loads of copy about the case. They can really gen up on the case, and they can see what's happening, because it is in the schools. It is in the schools. The educational authorities are involved. The governments are involved, and it's time that we put a stop to it.
Yes, and the story now. Sorry.
You can find all those links on the AquamanReport.com blog.
Absolutely. We'll do that.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ed. Thanks so much.
Thank you for your time, and thank you for helping us to return the children.
Yeah, well done, Ed.
Yeah. I stopped recording.
Okay.
Oh. Listen, guys, I hope I didn't come off uncaring, or criticizing you.
Ed, you're great. You're a great you're a good interviewer. You stick to your questions. You're good. Sometimes you forget your questions, but no, you're a good interviewer, and you're real. You're real. You've been there. You've experienced it. No, you're good. You're good, and you got good stuff out of us. You allowed Ella to speak. You allowed her to flow. You let me come in with my tangential stuff. No, you're good. We're quite happy. We think the first part was better, possibly, but some of the second bit was good as well. So no,
just we're getting a bit tired. It's a bit late for us.
Yeah, it's a bit late.
All right, so I haven't eaten, but also to see the 2-hour show will play on Friday night. I'm probably going to play the 1-hour show after it, but not every station will cover that. So I'll get it out there in more ways. It'll be on YouTube and all that kind of stuff.
It's going to be. Listen, this is going to explode on YouTube, because we haven't done an interview for ages. You see.
For a couple of months at least.
Yeah, and people have been asking us to do an interview, and we haven't done anything. And we've got a few lined up. We've got about 4 other interviews lined up. But and that's why we were a little bit hesitant with your one, because we've got some others lined up. And then because you came via David Shurter, and he's tried to link us in with some other CIA operatives before, and so we weren't really impressed with that. And he's worked with another shady person, a girl called Charlotte. She's another counter. You see, online. I forgot to mention this. I should have mentioned this. It's the how could I say? It's the prevalence of so many counterintelligence agents all over the case. It just makes you think, what is going on? It just, an independent observer would want to know what on earth was going on in this case. Why so many agents crawling all over this case? Why did they send Christine Ann Sands, a known FBI CIA operative? Why did they send her all the way over from America to come and create a scene outside the church?
And discredit the people who...
In an attempt to discredit the supporters. Because you see, the church, they're continuing to do sacrifice at the church because it is an auspicious site. It's on two dissecting ley lines, and we know this.
Just that, this is a part of the governmental sponsored programming. They have to carry on. And that's why they put so much resources on closing this case down, and they keep putting.
And as I said earlier, that's why you've got hold of us, and you're doing an interview with us now, Ed. We would never have met you had it not been for this case.
Oh boy! All right, guys, listen. Anything comes up, just give me a call, okay?
Ed, it's been a business doing pleasure with you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks ever so much. What are you going to do now? What are you going to do right now?